My GF, 22F, found out the reason why my ex, 21F, broke up with me and isn't talking to me, 22M, anymore. TW, body shaming. This might be quite long-winded, so I apologize in advance. I've been together with my GF Liz for 4 months now. Everything was fine, we didn't really have any issues until recently. It seemed healthy to me and we communicated a lot. Recently, we were talking about exes and Liz was surprised to hear I've only had one ex and it was from when I was 15. She was very curious about this relationship and wanted to know the details about it. To preface, I understand I was absolutely horrible and I still regret being so stupid to this day. But when I was in secondary school, I became close friends with a girl named Jenna and eventually she asked me out when we were 15. We got into a relationship and for the most part it was a very cringy lovey-dovey secondary school relationship. However, I was also incredibly immature and honestly just really stupid. I didn't treat her right and one of the worst things I did to her was consistently make jokes about her breast size, which she was insecure about. I didn't know it was an insecurity at the time, but it still wasn't okay. Looking back makes me cringe because I had a mentality like I was an anime protagonist and said so much stupid shit. Obviously she broke up with me like 5 months later and it was a real wake-up call to how much of a shithead I was. I remember at first I felt bewildered, and when the weight of my actions finally sunk in, I felt horrible. I couldn't have begun to imagine how Jenna felt the entire time we were together. I was too ashamed to speak to people, and at the time, I didn't have a chance to apologize because she transferred to a different school and I was blocked. It was just embarrassing to even think for a moment it was harmless or that I was like that, and to this day the guilt still haunts me. I eventually saw Jenna again at a mutual friend's party 3 years later and I spoke to her and apologized for everything I did. She was very surprised but also appreciative of it and told me she forgave me and we basically caught up with our lives. We exchanged social media again and I like to think we are on good terms again and we've said hello if we've seen each other in public. I know it seems like a pathetic pity party, but the whole thing is still on my mind to this day and I haven't forgiven myself for it. And it's really affected how I act around other people. I constantly feel guilt and anxiety for what I did. I constantly feel too ashamed to talk to women. And the only reason why I met Liz was because she was approached me after a friend introduced us, thinking I was shy. I also want to emphasize that I have no feelings towards Jenna, and it's simply the fact I ever acted like that haunts me. I didn't blindside her during that party either. She knew I would be there, and it was actually Jenna herself who approached me. I have some friends who have consistently told me that I've been too hard on myself over the years and I've changed since I was 15, but I don't think I can make that judgment on myself. Anyway, after finding out what I did, Liz became silent and went home. I tried talking to her, but she just told me that she couldn't believe I would do something so horrible and she can't see me the same way. The mutual friend that introduced us told me she was thinking of breaking up with me. I was obviously upset and heartbroken, but to be honest, I don't know what to think. I don't particularly feel like this was irrational or unjustified, and maybe this was just karma and I deserved it. I don't know if I should just leave Liz alone or if there is anything else I should do. In general, is this something I should disclose to people if there was romantic interest in the future if it doesn't work out? TLDR. My current girlfriend broke up with me after finding out I body shamed my ex 7 years ago and I don't know what to do. We all continue learning and growing. I like how you realized you were wrong and decided to correct yourself. The ages 13 to 25 are especially full of self-discovery and correction. It's okay. It's honestly good to know that your girlfriend is still in the black and white immaturity stage of her personal development, and that you aren't currently at the same maturity level. Try not to take this to heart. Your ex-GF's reaction is the minority. Most of the community wants people to feel safe to admit their errors and learn from them. If we create an environment where admitting our wrongs had extreme consequences, then people will stop learning and growing out of fear of this. Keep on your self-development project. You're worth making yourself the best you that you can be. Dude, you were 15. Do you know how much dumb shit most people have said when they were 15? The important part is that you evolved from that point. It's insane that your GF is judging you for something like that, emo. But hey, if that's how she operates, it is what it is. You were 15. Give yourself a break. If we all started crucifying each other for what stupid shit we did and said as kids, the world would be a graveyard. As long as you've learned a lesson and actively trying to be a better person, then that's it. However, you also need to understand that from what you're describing, it sounds like your actions may have been triggering for your GF. Maybe something happened in the past we don't know. All you can do is give your GF the time and space she needs. Support her however way she needs. You are a child. That's all I have to say. Your GF now needs to grow up just like you have. Biggest age to be an outright prick is 14 to 17, I reckon. God, when I think of how I used to be. It is what it is though. Only important that we change and learn and grow. I think Liz is being a little hard on you, especially if you are being honest about how remorseful you are about your actions. It feels unfair for her to judge the current you because of something you had done as a child. Are you certain you are not teasing people for their looks any longer? Do you think Liz may just be trying to find a way out and is using this as an excuse? TIFU by realizing he did care till late. As you read by the title, I realized the person I loved most cared about me after they already left. By the way, sorry if this is really messy and not comprehensive, I just wanted to rant and not proofread. Our relationship was like no other that I ever had experienced. I mean, we're both young, so it was also new to us both. Our situationship type thing began in November, though we had been friends since 2020. In the beginning of the friendship, he made lots of mistakes that made me break my trust, like lying a lot and ignoring me, which caused lots of arguments between us. It's also important to understand that our friendship was only a friendship due to me being FTM at the time, and him not being gay. But we both cared deeply for each other still. So due to this, we ended up having a pretty big argument in January where I told him how I loved him and how it felt like he was leading me on, knowing I had feelings for him yet telling me he liked a girl but still flirting with me, and so I wanted to set boundaries. And so after that he stopped mentioning girls yet still continued to be touchy with me and flirty, though I had stopped flirting back. Now knowing this, I can now get into the reason I'm posting here in the first place. It was March when we had an argument that would forever change our relationship. As you read just now, I was upset how he was acting even though it was clear I had made boundaries. Which is fair, but what isn't was how I told him how I don't think he cares. Which is complete bullshit now looking back. Even though he came to me a lot with his problems, it'd be stupid to say that I never did. I would at least twice a month cry to him about my problems and he would always drop everything to listen. He constantly checked up on me and would agree to do silly things with me just to make me happy. But at the time I didn't see this. I only focused on his mistakes. Another thing you have to know about him is that he is very non-confrontational. He keeps a lot to himself when it comes to being upset at someone and will just bottle it in or avoid it. Due to this, during the entire rant he just stayed silent or would reply not standing up to himself. Which made me at the time think I was in the right. After this argument, or rather rant, it changed lots of things. He started being more closed off than before, yet looking back you could still see he still loved and cared for me. But again, I was going through so much at the time I would only focus on the negative. The next time that we would ever have an argument was April 19th. Which would be the day he left. And the day I will forever look back on and feel like absolute shit. The night before and just the whole week in general, he had been acting extremely distant and barely replying, talking to me. And when he did, it would be very dry. This caused me to worry tons since I have extremely bad attachment issues. So, that day I decided to confront him about it and making sure I got the truth instead of, everything is fine. And that is indeed what I got. He told me about how he started to get annoyed by me and how I did things I would never do. I'd like to say I was rational during that. But I wasn't. I was begging him to stay, saying things I cringe looking back at now. Trying everything, yet not realizing the mistake I made. It eventually led to him officially saying bye, and how even though he promised to stay that, I still left the other times I said it. I was absolutely distraught for the rest of the month. Eventually I got out of the stage of just pure sadness. I got angry and misplaced my blame, thinking about how he lied. And I would continue to be angry at him. And through the summer I forgot about it. Yet when school started up again and seeing him, it made me crumble. So, when I got home I started to reread the messages, but in a different light. Reading the sweeter ones. And reading the ones that made me feel like the most important person on the planet. And that was when I realized he did care for me. That yes, he messed up, but it's not like I didn't either. And unlike me, he actually apologized, realizing how I took him for granted. And ever since early October I've been an absolute utter mess. With my mental illnesses, it's quite hard to keep people around, and due to that I'm no stranger of people leaving. And with all the people that have came and left my life, he's my only true deep regret. I want so badly to apologize, but I know it's not my place anymore. He most likely just doesn't want me around. I feel like utter shit. I've tried moving on, I have been trying. But everything reminds me of him. He's just so important to my life. I feel like I can't give up on him. But I have to. I just feel so much guilt and pain. And people tell me to realize that and to just not make that same mistake ever again to someone else. But at this point of time it's either him or nobody. I know I'm young. So I understand that most likely I will one day get over him. It's just hard to imagine it. I miss him, and I fucked up bad. And now I don't know what to do. And my mutual friends with him say he never mentions me either. Our only acknowledgement of each other is just a shared look in the hallways every day. I just had to get all this off my chest and maybe a little advice. I'm not sure. TLDR 6 months later, after my ex-friend left, I finally understood why he left and that I took him for granted. Hey, this is just my opinion. Have a chat with him and apologize for acting the way you did and everything else. If both of you are comfortable being friends, that's awesome, but if not, then you can keep your distance from him. That way you'll be satisfied that you made an effort to make things right. Just an opinion. Good luck. Well, as an advice, if you fuck up something, apologize. No one likes people who don't apologize. I don't see any other option than going there and talking to him, or maybe text him. And I think that in both cases, you should tell him that you really miss him, and you've fucked up, apologize, and, depending on the type of person, ask him to go out somewhere and talk about this. For sure, you need balls to do this, but you don't really have any other option. I have a question. You're in your school years and you already are an FTM? And how does it work? Who are you attracted to? Sorry for these questions, I'm just curious.